I thank the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Carter. I appreciate so much you leading on this issue. I can't tell you. I was thinking as you were talking about the first job I ever had, and I was making, this is really going to date me, but I was making $2.50 an hour. And I thought, holy mackerel, that's $100. I was working 40 hours. I'm going to bring home $100. No, it was $75. And that was a million years ago. I'd bring home less today because everything else has gone up. And I'll just tell you something about that. I've watched that same thing happen to each one of my children. And we live in this world where the federal government kind of clamps down on you. I appreciate this so much. The Fair Tax Act would repeal all federal corporate and individual income taxes, payroll taxes, self-employment taxes, capital gains taxes, death taxes, gift taxes, and replace them with a revenue-neutral consumption tax. You know what's so nice about a consumption tax is you choose whether you're going to pay it. You choose whether you're going to pay it because it's how you consume. We pay too much already in federal taxes, and under this administration, they're paying silent taxes they never voted for. Since this administration took over, Americans are paying nearly 15% more for goods and services due to the inflation tax. Look, I've introduced legislation, I know others have as well, to repeal the 16th Amendment to permanently abolish the federal income tax. This is a fantastic bill that you have, Mr. Carter. I don't need to remind you that the federal government takes up to 37% away from families, away from your dinner tables, away from your gas tank, and pays for drag shows in Ecuador and $85,000 Bob Dylan statues, for Pete's sakes. Americans know how to spend their own money better than politicians do. And under the Fair Tax Workers, everybody's going to take home 100% of their paycheck with no federal taxes withheld. Americans would decide how much they pay in taxes through the choices they make to purchase and consume goods and services. That means that Americans would keep their entire paycheck they worked for and have the freedom to decide how they spend their money. Now, flat taxes are sometimes criticized as disproportionately affecting lower-income Americans negatively, but the fair tax accounts for that by providing a prebate. This prebate is an advanced tax refund to every legal American family at the beginning of every month to purchase goods and services tax-free up to the national poverty level. And that's been compared, quite frankly, to the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is part of our Byzantine structure today. And when I was in law school, my first year in law school, and this is also 100 years ago, this is back before you had the internet. This is back when I worked for a tax firm. I was their librarian. Every week I went in and for hours updated a room full of tax books, the regulations and the code itself being updated all the time, as Congress would decide who gets a special break and who doesn't. But the fair tax instead encourages economic growth. It's more efficient, it's more productive than our current tax code. This means investment, wages, and consumption are higher than they are under the current income tax. In light of the Democrat majority in Congress and the Biden administration, both of which have made clear their policies are to tax, spend, and control the American people, the fair tax provides the perfect alternative that gives Americans more freedom. Without a national income tax, there would be no need to file taxes or to have an IRS, which this bill defunds. You had me at hello with that. In addition to closing the many loopholes in the current tax code, the fair tax would reach a much larger group of taxpayers, which 9 states have already seen the benefits of firsthand by eliminating their state income taxes. Representative Carter, thank you for letting me speak on behalf of your bill. I think it's a wonderful bill. I support it. I encourage all of my colleagues to support this bill. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.